I'm Martin Thomas, and it's Wednesday, the 19th of March, 2025. Welcome to the 7-Minute Briefing Podcast, your roundup of news and current affairs from the Middle East and North Africa, brought to you by Sat7. As violence erupted again in Syria, Sat7 Arabic called for prayer for the escalating situation, and hundreds of viewers got in touch with a flood of their own prayers for healing and peace. In this month's episode, we'll hear how Christians are holding fast to their faith despite the violence. Learn about women across the Middle East and North Africa who are opening their hearts to Jesus, and discover how the building of a new church on the banks of the River Jordan is bringing hope to Christians throughout the region. As we begin our journey through Lent, we invite you to pray with us for our brothers and sisters in Christ as we hear how God is at work across the region. In Syria, violent clashes between Assad loyalists and government security forces have claimed over 1,500 lives, in the worst violence in the country since the Assad regime was overthrown at the end of 2024. The violence has been linked to suspected revenge killings as gunmen loyal to the new government have been accused of targeting members of the minority Alawite sect for summary executions. With ex-President Assad belonging to the Alawite sect, concerns are growing about sectarian divides in the country. As the violence broke out, Sat7 Arabic called for prayer for the escalating situation, and hundreds of viewers got in touch with a flood of their own prayers, with one viewer writing, "Lord, our country needs you and the touch of your Spirit. Heal our land so that peace may fill it." Meanwhile, the situation in the Holy Land continues to be tense, as Hamas remains unwilling to extend the first phase of the ceasefire agreement. Israel is pushing for the release of more hostages before moving to phase 2. In the interim, Israel has blocked the entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza, as well as cutting the supply of electricity in an effort to put pressure on Hamas. While negotiations are ongoing, there are growing international concerns of a serious hunger crisis developing in Gaza, all while European nations express their support for a plan to rebuild the area that would avoid displacing people from their homes.
من یک زنم بگذار تا آزادتر باشم عاشق‌تر از دیروز و فردا شادتر باشم.
I'm a woman. Let me be truly free. This is a line recorded by one of Sat7's young Afghan viewers, Nazila. Despite the immense challenges faced by many women in the Middle East and North Africa, this International Women's Day, Sat7 heard story after story from women who have encountered the transformative love of Christ. As they enter into relationship with God, many are finding the hope and freedom they have longed for. Sat7 Arabic's Audience Relations Manager, Marianne Arawaji, shared with us how she's seen a surge in engagement from women in the region, which reflects a growing hunger among women to know the love and truth of the God who sees. You're listening to the 7-Minute Briefing Podcast, brought to you by Sat7. As we journey through this Lenten season, why not explore some of our resources, like our daily devotional book, 40 Days of Prayer for the Middle East, which is a perfect way to pray through Lent. Or, for younger members of the family, our brand new colouring and activity book, A Very Middle Eastern Easter, walks children through the story of Jesus' death and resurrection, while also sharing how Christians in this amazing part of the world celebrate Easter today.
In North Africa, as Sudan's ongoing civil war approaches its 2-year anniversary, members of the armed group, the Rapid Support Forces, launched an attack on a church service in Al Jazeera State, seriously injuring worshipping Christians, including children. Almost 200 Christians were praying for the end of the civil war when armed members of the RSF attacked, destroying property and beating church members. Please pray for the 14 Christians who were seriously injured in the attack, many of whom were left in a critical condition. Finally, in more positive news, the opening of a brand new church on the banks of the River Jordan was broadcast on Sat7 Arabic's Good Morning Beirut.
اليوم احنا اجينا على المختص نحتفل بتدشين الكنيسة الكاثوليكية، وهذا حدث صراحة مهم بكل العالم العربي بالمنطقة المحيطة عنا. طبعا كان أهم شيء بهذا الحدث إنه صلينا عشان السلام بكل البلاد اللي حوالينا.
The inauguration event brought Christians together in prayers for peace in what is now one of the largest churches in the Middle East. The event spokesperson, Father Dr. Rifat Bauda, shared on Good Morning Beirut how the new church is a sign of hope for all Christians in the Middle East. The new church has been built on what is believed to be the site of Jesus' baptism and has taken 15 years to complete. Thank you for listening to the 7-Minute Briefing podcast from Sat7. Take a look at today's show notes, where you'll find links to today's briefing article, plus resources to help you pray into the region this Lent. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and enjoyed this episode, please do follow us, rate the show, and share it with someone who might appreciate it. Thanks for being part of changing the story.